speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
All I need is one mic.
Reparations Now has been a rallying cry in this country and around the world for decades. But the demand has taken on new urgency with growing momentum on the issue led by the state of California, which has completed an extensive study and put forth recommendations to enact reparations. California's reparations actions have huge nationwide implications. The California Task Force was the first of its kind in the nation, and the states of New York and Colorado recently voted to take on the issue. Dozens of cities from coast to coast, including San Francisco, Boston, Los Angeles, and Detroit, have started their own reparations commissions. One of the first known reparationists was Callie House, who toured the nation advocating for reparations in the 1890s. But never in this nation's history has the movement to heal the harms of enslavement, institutionalized racism, and the system of white supremacy seemed so strong. The topic remains untouchable for most elected officials, and the call for reparations has not yet garnered widespread public support. Polling shows that most Californians agree that black fellow citizens are still suffering from the damage done by slavery and Jim Crow, but they still do not support cash reparations. The California Legislative Black Caucus has introduced a package of proposals for bills that do not include 1 penny of cash compensation, restitution, or repair. Governor Newsom and other lawmakers have distanced themselves from the concept of cash payments. While Newsom is right, cash alone will not repair our collective harm, the state's goofy legislative package ignoring monetary payments is disingenuous. California lawmakers need to step up and put a reparations bill for cash payments on the table. The issue of how it is funded, the timeline, or whether it impacts our current budget challenges can be addressed. But we must strike while the iron is hot, or the window of opportunity will pass us by. If you agree that it's time for our lawmakers to add a bill enacting cash payments to their lineup, call them at 916-319-3868 and say, if it doesn't include cash, it ain't reparations. That's 916-319-3868. Tell him Callie House sent you. From Bruce's Beach to the California Task Force, the Golden State is a trailblazer when it comes to reparations. The world is watching. We must rise to the historical moment and set a precedent for cash payments along with legislative remedies and policies addressing the systemic badges of slavery and Jim Crow. We must insist on measures significant enough to help close the racial wealth gap. California must stand for cash, and the time for reparations is now. For KBLA Talk 1580, I'm Dominique DePrima. We welcome your comments.
That, of course, is the purple one, Prince, who I miss dearly even all these years later. I am Tavis Smiley, and the voice you're about to hear, as we said in the black church, the next voice you will hear will be that of Don Lemon, former CNN anchor. I'm glad I've got him for the hour. We will talk about a bunch of stuff, I suspect, including, of course, his controversial interview with Elon Musk, the bizarre aftermath of that conversation, and where Don goes from here. But let me just say up front, I ain't shed no tears for Don Lemon. I'm saving all my tears for kids with cancer. I ain't crying for Don Lemon, because Don Lemon got $24 million from CNN in that settlement. We all read about that, so I ain't mad at him. Don Lemon, it's been too long since I've heard your voice, at least in my earbuds. How are you, sir?
Hey, it's good to hear you. I always enjoy hearing your voice. It's been a while, Tavis. It's been too long. Why has it been so long with us?
It's been long because you've been busy and I've been busy. We just haven't had a chance to connect. It ain't like grass being going under our feet. I'm trying to build a black radio media platform, and you're building your own platform. So we've been two busy Negroes, and that's why we ain't had a chance to connect. But I'm glad we have a chance to talk now for the hour. There's a lot to talk about. Let me start with this. I'm going to follow you through the hour as I always do when we have these conversations. But since Miles, my board op, decided to play some Prince to start us in that track Controversy, there's no doubt about the fact that in my career, I've been called controversial more times than I can count, and you've been called controversial more times than you can count. Just talk to me philosophically about this notion of being a black man in a media space who is so often labeled as being controversial.
Well, I think with just by speaking the truth when you're a black man in these spaces that you're called controversial, because people don't often want to hear the truth, Tavis. Mm-hmm. And it's very easy to label us controversial or hard to work with or difficult, or when we're just telling people the truth and when you're just trying to tell people how to treat you. Mm-hmm. So, look, I don't know if it's warranted, but I like what John Lewis said, good trouble. Mm-hmm. I would like to be, the person that they say, oh, here's Don Lemon. He is the guy that stirs good trouble, rather than calling me controversial. So, look, if telling the truth is controversial, then so be it. Darn it, I'm controversial.
Yep. Why do you think then that the nation, we live in the most multicultural, multiracial, multi-ethnic America ever, and if I follow your line of thinking, what you're suggesting to me is that even in 2024, the nation to some degree still has difficulty hearing truth out of the mouths of black men. Why is that?
Why is that?
Mm-hmm.
It's the history of the country. Mm-hmm. It is, people are intimidated by us. People don't want to hear. Look at what they're doing in schools now. They're trying to get people, kids not to learn the history of the country. They're trying to ban books. And so from the mouths of people like us who have really come from, a terrible history in this country and have been able to succeed, coming from, people who built the bridges and dammed the dams and created this country. I think it's just tough for people to hear. And there's a whole lot of, psychosis and whatever that you'd have to go through to understand why white folks don't want to hear the truth from black men. And I'll leave that to the psychologists and the psychiatrists, but I also just think it's intimidation. They're afraid of our history. And they're afraid if they actually really learn the history that's somehow going to affect their future.
Ooh, this is going to be a good hour. It's going to be a good one. I'm just getting started with Don Lemon. I've got questions running all through my head, and if I know Don Lemon, as I do, he has answers to every question that I want to pose, and we're going to get into it this hour. You're listening to Don Lemon right now, and I'm glad about it, on Tavis Smiley.
Hope, agency, dignity. This is Tavis Smiley.
Can you dig it? Come on!
Hey y'all, Mona Swain here from Target's new YouTube series, My Cart is Full, where we feature black founders and creators highlighting their connection to our community. As an actor and content creator, I love using my voice to inspire young black women who look like me. When it comes to feeding my shine, seeing myself reflected in black-owned and founded products at Target brings me joy. Together, we are Black Beyond Measure. Learn more at target.com/Black Beyond Measure.
Cookie wants to be a professional wrestler.
I'm Cookie Serratos, and I'm 11 years old.
She also wants to win all the medals. That's why Cookie and her family make every day count, squeezing out her best with Go-Go Squeeze.
Okay, Cookie, let's break for a Go-Go Squeeze.
Go-Go Squeeze Fruit on the Go pouches are a nutritious snack made from 100% fruit with no sugar added.
Go, Cookie!
Because when you nurture your kids, you squeeze out the best in them. Squeeze out the best with Go-Go Squeeze. Not a low-calorie food. Products range from 11 to 13 grams of sugar and 60 to 70 calories per serving.
Hi, this is Scott Trout of Cordell & Cordell. If you're a dad who is facing divorce, there are extra layers of stress that may include stereotypes and assumptions. No two situations are the same. Our legal experience and dedication prepare us for whatever legal challenges we face together. You need a partner you can count on. For more than 30 years, Cordell & Cordell has represented men in divorce.
1455 Frazee Road, Suite 1050, San Diego, California, 92108. Online at CordellCordell.com.
Pizza's here. Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
If you're looking for the most epic place on Earth, let's start at the base of a massive waterfall. Then trek through the thick jungle. Then climb to the peak of a snowy mountaintop. Then once you get there, keep going. Because with intelligent 4x4 and 7 drive modes and a Nissan Pathfinder, the search is the real adventure.
Available feature. Intelligent 4x4 cannot prevent collisions or provide enhanced traction in all conditions. Always monitor traffic and weather conditions.
Eggs are a staple in our diets, and there's only one egg with more delicious farm-fresh taste plus superior nutrition. Eggland's Best. With more vitamins, including 6 times more vitamin D and 10 times more vitamin E, plus 25% less saturated fat than ordinary eggs. Available in so many delicious varieties. Classic, cage-free, and organic. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Made fresh daily in the Mert Park, Los Angeles, California. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Don Lemon, and we're just getting started here. So, Don, you used the word a moment ago that I want to come right back to, the word intimidation. I've heard that word, again, more times than I can count in my career, and sometimes you hear it in whispers. They don't say it directly to your face. In your space of work in this broadcast business, but you hear it in whispers. Tell me what you have made of or how you've navigated this journey of trying not to be, to the extent you have, maybe not, intimidating to the good white folk in the workspace.
Wow. Now that is a Tavis Smiley question. Listen, you always have to sort of manage whether, how you don't want to come off as being the angry black man. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's something that even our former president used to talk about, and I think that sometimes many times you just get tired of having to do that. Look, I am a man of a certain age. I'm in my 50s now. I don't worry about not being intimidated in the workspace anymore. That's somebody else's issue. So one reason that I'm in my own workspace now, and I think that's one reason you're probably in your own workspace now, is that you don't have to worry about those things. But that is an issue for a lot of people because, as you know, black men are seen as more aggressive, bigger than they are, and even our boys are seen as older than they are and more aggressive. Mm-hmm. And people, oh my God, I'm feeling uncomfortable because of how you spoke to me. Well, I didn't speak to you any differently than any other person or any other white man in the company or any other white woman for that reason, but just because of who I am and what I look like. For some reason, your unconscious bias makes me somehow seem intimidating to you. So I used to sort of, be overly nice and overly gracious, but that wears on you after a while. And after almost 60 years on the planet, I don't play that game anymore. I'm over that. I'm beyond it.
Yeah. I want to talk, as we will in this hour, about the freedom that one does in fact have when one has one's own space to elevate and to amplify the voices of people they want to talk to. We'll talk about that. Let me just ask you point blank, though, because this is one of the rubs against you. Has Don Lemon ever had a problem with white women in the workspace? And I mean now, I don't mean in terms of sexual harassment. I mean in terms of the way you get along and navigate spaces with them professionally.
Never, ever. The person who ran my show at CNN was a white woman. My producer was a white woman. And then eventually became there was a white man who became my producer. My executive assistant was a black woman. I had African Americans all around me, but in the spaces for with white women, there were white women who ran my show. Mm-hmm. The person who is my communications director now is a white woman. I've given white women in every place that I've been, whether it's CNN or NBC or Fox, opportunities that other white women would not give them in the workspace. because of they were intimidated by them. So no, I've never had a problem with any white woman. I've never had a problem with any woman or anybody in the workspace.
Yeah. How have you dealt with over the course of your career? And again, these questions I'm asking you, I could be asking of myself. And so I ask these questions with humility because there's not much that you've traversed that I haven't had to navigate in my own career, such as the nature of being a black man in this space where you rise to the highest levels of media in this country, as you and I have been blessed to do. So these questions are not just about you. I mean, again, I could be talking to myself, obviously, if I wanted to, with the queries that I'm sending your way. That said, how have you navigated over the course of your career the critiques that have been leveled at you from black people in particular? I just asked you about the good white folk. Now I'm asking you about these Negroes. When these black folk have criticized you for any number of things, I was just online last night, just doing a little more research, preparing for our conversation. Obviously, we know each other well, but wanted to make sure I hadn't missed anything prepping for today. And I came across all kinds of things over the course of a number of years. You've been at it a long time, where you've been, and I've been, critiqued by other black people. How have you handled that over the years?
Well, I have to be honest with you. It hurts when it comes from your own people. It hurts more. And sometimes we tend to pay more attention to it. We give it outsized attention because it is our own people. And we're like, how can our own people treat us this way or feel this way about us? I have since, I've been in the business for so long that I've developed a thick skin about it. And at the end of the day, yes, I am a man of color. I am a black person. But also, I am someone who is in a business and who's trying to navigate a job and who's doing their job and who has to be professional and has to be a journalist at the end of the day. And sometimes that means telling the truth about people, and the truth is not always flattering. And sometimes the people involved in those stories that you have to discuss happen to be people of color. And you have to discuss those people with truth and try to even when they've done horrific things, to try to help them maintain some sort of dignity. So it hurts more for me when I hear it from black people, but I have moved to a place now where I realize that everybody has an opinion, and all those people who are out there talking about you are not paying your bills, and they aren't even hiring you for a job, and they're not even supporting you if you happen to lose that job. So I take it with a grain of salt. I keep my head up, and I keep moving, and I keep doing what's right, what I believe for myself and for my people.
One quick follow-up on that. Was there or is there a particular grievance, legitimate or otherwise, that you heard from black people that just really rubbed you raw?
No, that wasn't anything that rubbed me raw. I mean, when people said, I was, people, we always have the, you're not black enough thing,
yeah.
Right? Or,
Yep.
I need you to be, like, on every single issue, black folks are always right. Now, look, I know how hard it is to be black. I know what it's like to be black in this country. Every day I wake up in the mirror and I see it. And I don't even have to wake up in the mirror. I can just look at my hand and I see that I'm black. I know that I'm black. But I think some of the things that when people say that when you become successful, when you reach a certain level, especially when as you have just said, I'm not saying this about myself, when you work at the highest levels, at the highest ranks. I got to the top of journalism, and I am at the top. People call you a sellout because you're not, you have sort of moved beyond into different spaces where they don't think that you should be, or where they may be jealous that you are. And so that, sort of you're a sellout thing has always been difficult for me because I'm not selling anybody out. The sellout would be to allow other people not to influence me and to affect my ability to advance and to prosper. So I think that's it. And I think really that's it. When people say that you're a sellout. Yeah.
I believe it was Socrates who once said that the unexamined life is not worth living. What he didn't say is that the examined life is very hard. It takes a lot to be introspective, to use your phrase, to look in the mirror, which is why people, I say all the time, tend to want to deal with the hardware, the outer core. They don't want to deal with the software. Most of us have a very difficult time being introspective and dealing with the software of who we are. That's my way of asking whether or not, as you look back specifically on CNN, you have any revelations, you have any insights, you have any regrets on what happened. Your thoughts?
No, look, I don't think about other people think about CNN more than I do. I've moved beyond that. Look, and you know what else? You know what really helped me move beyond CNN is that I went back to CNN to promote my story on Elon Musk.
I want to ask you about that, but go and finish your answer. Go ahead. I'm
okay.
sorry.
But so I have nothing but love for the people there. But when I was there, I realized that, hey, it was, maybe it was time for me to move on. And so I don't spend a lot of time thinking about CNN. The only time I think about them is when other people ask me about it, or, I happen to be doing something and someone says, oh, I'll walk down the street and somebody will go CNN. And I'm like, oh, they're talking about me, but I don't work there anymore. No, and I have no regrets. Look, this is my life. I made decisions that I have to live with. And no, I actually don't think about it, Tavis. I think about moving forward and doing the Don Lemon Show on digital.
Yeah,
that's really it.
Which I want to talk about. I saw your piece with Monique you posted last night. Monique and Sydney. We'll talk about that. Oof is right. We'll talk about that as we move through this hour. But since you mentioned CNN, let me ask you. And as I said, you know me, and we've known each other for years, and I'm always going to be as transparent with you as I expect you to be with me. And so let me just say this up front. I have chuckled from time to time over the last few years as I've seen in my media clippings stories that PBS has had to cover about me. And I say with humility, even stories about my ascent. LL said, don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years. But I've been fascinated, and I get tickled sometimes when I see that I've been blessed, and I do mean blessed in such a way that PBS has had to cover my comeback, if you will. But if PBS called me today and asked me to sit for an interview, I'd have a hard time saying yes to PBS, and I ain't going to lie about that. So when I saw you pop up on CNN, I was gobsmacked that swiftly you returned to the airways to be interviewed on CNN. I ain't judging you. I'm just asking why.
Well, you asked me why did I go back?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I went back because it doesn't really mean that much to me anymore. As I said, I don't have anything against CNN. There's no desire for me to go back and work there. It just doesn't factor into my life that much anymore. I don't hold grudges. The person who asked me to come on her show, Erin Burnett, I actually really loved. She supported me when I was at CNN. One of the reasons that I was able to even be in prime time is because of Erin. Erin went on maternity leave, and they asked, who would you like to fill in for you? She said Don Lemon. And from that, I became a face in the primetime weekday CNN, and then eventually had my own show. So I went back. Number one, I thought it was a good story. Number two, I respect the journalists who work at CNN. Number three, the people who had anything to do with my ouster, most of them, if not all, are gone. There's been a management change. That speaks for itself. And the other thing is that I couldn't write this, right? You can't write this. You get let go from a place. They call you back because you are in the zeitgeist. You are doing something that is so big and so powerful that it supersedes whatever it is that happened in the past. And now they're asking me back on their air to promote my show on my independent network. Who could have asked for any better publicity? So why not go back on CNN?
Yep. Since you're there, talking about Erin Burnett, who I happen to like Erin as well. She's a nice person. Been a guest on her program any number of times, as you know, in my career, hers and yours, and all the other shows on CNN for that matter. But I asked you earlier about CNN. You said you had no regrets. In retrospect, do you regret, speaking of your being in prime time, your comment about prime time made me think about this. When you made that decision to go from prime time to mornings, now this is me and you talking. Ain't anybody listening. It's just me and you, Don. Me and you.
Okay.
You know that CNN has never, ever succeeded in mornings, and here you have this beautiful prime time perch on CNN, and for whatever reason, maybe when I shut up, maybe you're gonna tell me they forced you and made you do it, but you gave up a prime time slot where you were killing it to go to mornings on a network that has never succeeded in mornings. I did not understand that decision. Can you explain it to me?
Well, you're right about that. And I did get people, get advice. You shouldn't do it. You shouldn't do it. I'm always up for trying new things. But there were circumstances that you were not aware of that contributed to that decision. And I made that decision. Was it the right one? I thought it was the right one at the time. But I don't look back on that decision with regret. If and again, I don't really spend time thinking about CNN that much.
Mm-hmm.
The entire network is not even, I shouldn't say this, take that back, the entire network. All of linear television is shrinking now,
mm-hmm.
and in many ways struggling. All of cable news, especially cable TV news, is shrinking and is struggling.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure if there was that big of a difference between mornings and evenings, especially now in this climate.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a decision that I made, and that decision did not preclude the possibility of me going back to the other place if it did not work out.
Yeah.
But it just so happens that there were other things that happened that precluded that.
The other part of this that I found troubling, just from my perspective, and again, it's your right. You have the right to self-determination. It's your career, not mine. But because we're both in this space, we've both done our own thing. I have my own view of this. I was shocked by the decision to go to mornings, but also because you and I have both been basically solo guys. You're a solo host. I'm a solo host. And now you're going with this ensemble with two white women. I just didn't see that working, given how long and how well you've done the solo thing, man.
Look, I can see that.
Yeah.
But I've worked with an ensemble before. I mean, I had co-anchors for a long time. And it's tough to get back to that. It's also very dependent on who you're being put with, as you know. And you have to have people who are of like minds and who are of like experiences and levels of experience and so on. But hey. It didn't work out. We move on.
Yeah. No, we move on. We move on. Speaking of moving on, I'm doing that right now. I'm moving on. When we come forward in this conversation, glad I got him for the hour, as I told you, whole lot to talk about with Don Lemon. I haven't asked about the Nikki Haley comment. After that comment, she went on to do her run for the Republican nomination. We know how that story ended, but I got to ask Don's reflections and thoughts on that Nikki Haley comment that went all around the world and his reflections on that. We haven't talked as yet about Elon Musk. We haven't talked about his new interview that he just dropped last night with Monique. We haven't talked about his building his own platform and the freedom, but also the hard work, trust me and believe me, that comes along with building your own platform. More to go with Don Lemon when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
What's your quarrel with the world? You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know the United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time? Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. The search continues for missing people after a Baltimore, Maryland bridge collapsed overnight after a container ship crashed into it. Officials said at least 6 construction workers were on the Francis Scott Key Bridge when it plunged into the river. They remain unaccounted for. 2 were rescued overnight, with 1 being hospitalized. We'll continue to keep you updated on this story. The Los Angeles, California, and Miami, Florida homes of African-American rapper and businessman Sean Diddy Combs have been raided by Homeland Security over reported allegations of sex trafficking. At least 2 of Diddy's sons were detained outside of the LA home. The investigation is being handled by Homeland Security and may be tied to 2 recent lawsuits, one which accused Diddy of sex trafficking and the other dealing with sex with a minor. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Every day, a child in poverty waits for a sponsor is another day of hopelessness. There are thousands of kids who've been waiting over a year. End their wait. Sponsor a child with compassion today. Just text the word radio to 83393.
Is this the
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
USC is in the Sweet 16 of the NCAA Women's Basketball Tournament for the first time in 30 years. The Trojans beat Kansas by 18 last night at the Galen Center. Freshman All-American Juju Watkins had 28 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists. USC will play Baylor Saturday in the Portland Regional Semifinals. UCLA had a tough time with Creighton last night but held on to win by 4, 24 points from sophomore guard Kiki Rice. The Bruins advanced to the Sweet 16 in the Albany Regional in upstate New York. Next up for the Bruins is defending national champion LSU on Saturday. The Clippers gave up 133 points to Indiana last night. They lost by 17. Fifth straight home loss for the Clippers. Russell Westbrook had 14 points and 7 assists in his first game back from a broken hand. LeBron's left ankle is bothering him again. He's doubtful for tonight's game in Milwaukee. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Shop modern, Nordic-inspired furniture and decor for your whole home at Scandinavian Designs. And get your favorite spaces refreshed for the new year. Shop one of their 5 Los Angeles locations or shop online at ScandinavianDesigns.com.
I have diabetes. I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
I have asthma. I'm at risk too.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a Pfizer vaccine that can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just 1 dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
We must understand the politics of our community, and we must know what politics is supposed to produce.
This election year, KBLA Talk 1580 is the place for politics. Unapologetically progressive politics. And we've got 2 of the best and brightest to help you cut through all the noise. Weekdays at 1 p.m., it's A More Perfect Union with Dr. Nee Cordelai-Corte. And at 4 p.m., it's Areva Martin in Real Time. He's the university professor and distinguished member of the White House Correspondents Association. She's a best-selling author and Harvard-trained civil rights lawyer. And they are both here every day to help guide you through all the this year, because you know it's going to get deep. Get your politics on weekday afternoons at 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. with A More Perfect Union, hosted by Dr. Nee Cordelai-Corte and Areva Martin in Real Time, only on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your flag.
Sometimes we lose, sometimes we win. Sometimes we try to fit it all in. Sometimes we don't know what's in store. Sometimes we find what we're looking for. Sometimes we're rolling easy and free. Sometimes 1 and 1 makes 3. So much to love along this ride. That's why Nationwide is on your side.
Nationwide Mutual Insurance Company and Affiliates, Columbus, Ohio.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. 120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes, and who knows how many.
Are we there yet?
Through countless fixes, elbow grease, and a new radiator, you kept your ride alive. With eBay Motors, you have over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Let's get back to more of this rich dialogue with Tavis Smiley.
Don Lemon, have you had occasion to rethink your Nikki Haley comment in any way, given that she tried and failed miserably on the campaign trail?
Oh, you're back.
Yes, I'm back.
No, listen. No, what I have said about no. My comments, I believe, were misconstrued. I don't spend any time thinking about it. I don't even like talking about it. My whole point of it, and I'll speak to you more than I've spoken to anybody else about this, is that what I was trying to convey, and I don't think I did a good job of it, is that Nikki Haley was doing to older people what society has done to women for decades, and I thought that was hypocritical of her to decide, what she was saying about older people, that they weren't in their prime. Those were her words, and that somehow they needed a mental competency test. And I thought that she was discriminating against older people by stigmatizing them the same way that society has done to women. That was it. I didn't say, and I said I did not believe that wasn't my belief. That she wasn't in her prime, or women that weren't in their prime. That's it.
How have you processed your way through not just that moment, but other moments in your career? I've had these as well, where you said things that weren't as artful as they could have been, things that were misconstrued. I tell folk all the time, you cannot do, trust me, this is not as easy as it looks. Everybody thinks they can do it. I got a T-shirt that says everybody wants to be a talk show host. but it's not as easy as it looks. And you cannot do live television or live radio day in and day out and have everything come out of your mouth as artfully as you would like for it to. What have you learned about navigating moments in your professional career where your words are misconstrued?
Well, I have only had that. That was the one time where I think I really did not get to explain it, because if you are on live television or live radio or anything like that, I think people are going to take you out of context. I also think it's who you are. People are, somehow looking sometimes to get people. But I don't really think about it. I just think that you say things that are wrong, you explain yourself, you apologize, and you move on. That's how it usually works. But if sometimes people have other agendas that are out of your control.
It's prologue at this point, so I'm moving on from it. Let me move now to Elon Musk. So I really only have one question, maybe just two. Many people, if they had the opportunity to talk to Don Lemon, they'd ask him 1,000 questions about Elon Musk. That ain't me. I ain't really got but two questions about Elon Musk. The first is how you held your composure. And this is when I know, I've known you to be a professional for years, but I really knew how good you were when you held your composure. When Elon said to you in that interview, "What advantage does the color of my skin give me?" I about fell out of my chair when that came out of his mouth. What advantage does the color of my skin give me? That came out of the mouth of Elon Musk. And in that moment, in your head, Don Lemon, you thought what? You can tell me, man. You can tell me.
I kept thinking, like, how many examples can I give you? What are you talking about? How many loans were you able to secure that other people may not be able to start your business here in the United States? I did say, you were able to come here, willingly. There were many of us who were not able to come here willingly, who actually came over, on a slave ship, at least our descendants. So it was, there was a lot going through my head, and mostly it was that you did not understand the full American experience, and that means the experience of people of color in this country.
My second question, as I said, I ain't got but a couple of Elon questions, unless you say something that makes me follow up. But you had just left a situation where, at some level, and you ain't got to put all your business out, but I know how this works because this ain't my first rodeo either. You had just left a situation where, at some level, you felt like you could not trust the folk in leadership. I know that you felt betrayed by some folk in leadership. To your earlier point, those persons are now gone at CNN. We ain't got to call the names. We know who they are. But you just left a situation where you felt betrayed. You didn't trust the leadership. And my only question about you and Elon Musk is this. Given everything that's already in the public about Elon Musk, why did you ever trust him to be honorable on anything in the first place? This ain't no secret, Don, about who Elon Musk is. And why, I want to know, did you ever trust him, Elon Musk, in the first place?
Well, listen, the not trusting and betrayal thing at CNN, those are your words. I didn't say that.
Well, I know you didn't. I said
I will say about I will say about Elon Musk. No, I went in with my eyes open. You know, the old saying in the South, you knew I was a snake before you picked me up.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew who Elon Musk was, right? So I knew what I was getting myself into. But I went into it with the best of intentions because I believed that it was the best place for me to be able to put my content to reach and my work so that the most number of people as possible could see it. Elon Musk was not my boss. Elon Musk was not hiring me. He reached out to me. He was a content partner and a distribution partner, and you know what that means.
Mm-hmm.
When you are building whatever platform that you are, certain people are asking to distribute your content.
Mm-hmm.
That's all that was. So in order for him to have some of my content, he would have to pay me in order to distribute it. That's it. I mean, that's a business decision that I think most people would agree to. So did I think that Elon Musk was erratic and might change his mind on things? Absolutely. I knew that this was all a possibility. But I also knew that if I interviewed him, I also felt that if he was asking me, considering his worldview, to be a part of his platform, at least to distribute my content, and he believed in free speech as he said he did, then the best interview, the best place to take care of this, to get people to understand all of it, was on my platform and to have him come on and be interviewed.
Mm-hmm.
And so they gave me their word that I'd be able to be myself on the platform, that I would get as the full support of everyone at the platform, including Elon Musk and the management team there. And I said, if I do this, I'm going to have to at times criticize the person who owns this platform, because you know what he tweets out and you know some of the things he says. And they said, yeah, absolutely. And I think he would actually like that. He's looking forward to having that sort of back and forth on the platform. As it turns out, that did not happen.
Yep. I lied. I have one follow-up. So make it 3 Elon Musk questions. Forgive me for lying. Your spokesperson has said publicly that you expect to get paid. You had a deal, and you expect to be paid out that deal. I joked earlier, although I really wasn't joking. I ain't mad at you because I know how this game works. I love that settlement, that $20+ million settlement you got from CNN, but your spokesperson has said that you expect Elon Musk company to pay you. Anything you want to add to that statement from your spokesperson? No, I expect them to live up to the terms of our agreement, and that's in any business, anybody would expect that. What I will say is that deals fall apart all the time, mm-hmm.
and that's okay. But when those deals fall apart, you have to live up to the terms. And that's it. So I expect to, whatever the terms of the contract, I expect them to fulfill that. Fair enough. When we come forward, we will talk with Don Lemon about his platform, about his own venture, about what it means to be building his own thing. I know something about that, of course. There's a freedom in that, but there's a whole lot of work that comes along with that. He just dropped a new conversation last night. It's hot as fire with Monique and Daddy, her husband, Sidney Hicks. We'll talk about that when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Interrogating and unpacking. That's what we do around here. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
What is dedication?
My biggest fear in the middle of my addiction was that my kids wouldn't have a father. And I started thinking, you know what? This isn't my story. I definitely had to become a better man to be a better father. It's important to me that my kids are empowered and truly believe that if they can think it, they can do it.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Joey from Vermont, a farmer trying to get through the winter. Adriana from South Carolina, a single mother living paycheck to paycheck. Liam from Ohio, an injured father struggling to provide for his family. Hi, I'm Shanola Hampton, and I support the Feeding America network of food banks because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
Girl, I have a secret. When I get stressed out, I get sweaty. That's why I use Secret Clinical Antiperspirant. It's like my own secret weapon. For 72 hours, I get Secret's strongest protection against sweat caused by stress, heat, and activity, because you know how crazy life can get. Plus, it's made with advanced odor fighters that don't just cover up smelliness. They help prevent it from happening in the first place. Believe me, if I weren't wearing Secret, I'd be a hot, smelly mess. Thankfully, Secret works.
If your Medi-Cal is ending, Cover California is here to help. Cover California is a service from the state that helps you get affordable health insurance. In many cases, at no cost to you, just like with Medi-Cal. We have quality health plans, and we'll help you every step of the way to get the one that works for you and your family. So, if you're no longer eligible for Medi-Cal, check out Cover California. We'll keep you covered. Learn more at coveredca.com.
This Easter, March 31st at 11:07 a.m., ECM will be at the Redondo Beach Performing Arts Center. We are inviting everyone to meet us there as we will be presenting the Black Resurrection Experience. What good is Jesus' resurrection if we are still living in cultural graves? ECM will present a stage play production that will address Black dignity, Black worth, Black unity, Black ownership, Black votes, police brutality, generational wealth, mental health, Black power through Jesus' power, and most of all, your purpose in life through the murder of Jesus Christ. And we will tell this entire story with singing, dancing, acting, rapping, with a little bit of preaching from yours truly, Pastor Shep. The Black Resurrection Experience. Easter morning at the Redondo Beach Performing Arts Center. It's totally free, so come get your freedom.
Sounds different, huh? This is Tavis Smiley.
Don Lemon, how would you describe the Monique conversation that you just dropped?
Woo! That's how I would describe. Listen, here's the thing. I wanted to talk to Monique about pay disparity among Black women in Hollywood, which I think is a very important subject, and obviously, considering what Taraji has said, after her Color Purple experience as she was doing press, I think it's a very important subject and it needs to be tackled. And it appeared to me that it had not been resolved. And so, because Monique came on my show on CNN 10 years ago and discussed that. And so when I heard Taraji, the first person I thought about was Monique. And I said, Monique told me this 10 years ago and they're still not addressing this issue. Little did I know about that. I didn't have a show then. And so I said, Monique, when I do have a show, I think this is an important issue. Will you come on? She said, her husband got back to me and said, we weren't happy with the last experience. And I said, well, okay, that was, 10 years ago on CNN. And then I explained why. And I told him, I did not mean to make her feel like she wasn't in a safe space. She felt she wasn't in a safe space. Mm-hmm. So anyway, she came on. I told her I apologize for that because, hey, look, I don't want anybody to feel that way, whether I think that I did something wrong or not. I certainly don't want you feeling that way. But Monique went, how do I say this? Monique doesn't hold back. She went beyond what I thought she was going to say in the conversation about pay disparity, and she just started calling people out, and she started, name checking people and what have you. And I was a little bit uncomfortable with it, but we don't edit. We're live to tape pretty much on our program, so it was tough. And it was hard for me to hear those things about certain people who I love, who I admire and respect, and who actually have served as mentors to me. But it's not my story to tell. It's Monique's. Mm-hmm. And so at the end of the day, I have to let Monique tell her story. And if those other people want to respond to that or defend themselves, then they will have to do it. But I thought pay disparity, a discussion on that in Black women was important. But, she goes in.
Yeah.
She goes in, Tavis.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm laughing because we got almost through this conversation. Miles is looking at me laughing as well, my board op. It is always the case whenever I talk to any guest live in New York City, we just bet. We have a running bet around here. At what point in the conversation are you going to hear the sirens? It's just if you're talking to anybody.
Oh, you heard it?
If you talk to anybody in New York City, at some point it's going to happen. I'm thinking, man, we about to wrap a whole 1 hour conversation and I didn't hear the New York sirens. And there just now. The sirens come in, but it's all good. I heard everything you said, as did the audience, loud and clear. When we come forward in our remaining moments with Don Lemon, we will talk to him about his platform, let him brag about it, what he's doing, where he's doing it, how he's doing it, what he expects to do in the months and years to come. And I'll ask him about the freedom of now having his own say and doing it his own way, as juxtaposed against all the hard work that goes into making that happen. Again, I know something about that. We'll wrap with Don Lemon when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
For all the freedom-loving folk, this is Tavis Smiley.
I feel like freedom. If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
My daughter was diagnosed with a rare malignant rhabdoid tumor on the spine. They sent her straight to St. Jude. My hope was gone. But when you get there, everyone's like, hey, we're not going to give up. And when you see other people not giving up on your child, that makes all the difference in the world. When I found out I didn't have to pay, I was just grateful. They saved my baby's life.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Watch out! You got me!
The galaxy is safe once again.
In the pretend universe, kids play with pretend guns. In the real world, it's up to us to make sure they don't get their hands on a real gun. If you have a gun in the house, keep it locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment. LA's 99 neighborhood councils form the grassroots level of the Los Angeles city government. The system was created to connect LA's diverse communities to City Hall. While neighborhood council board members are volunteers, they are also public officials elected to office by the members of their community. Neighborhood councils advocate on issues like homelessness, housing, land use, emergency preparedness, public safety, parks, transportation, and sustainability. They also provide local expertise on the delivery of city services to their various communities. Neighborhood councils are open to participation by anyone who is a part of the fabric of daily life in said community. This includes those who live, work, or own property or a business. If you are interested in stepping up to join your local neighborhood council, visit www.empowerla.org. That's empowerla.org. It's time to think globally, but act locally. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
It's game day at Jim's house, and the spread is impressive.
Mike's already done some damage with the hot wings, and now he's dropping back and going deep for another slice of pizza.
I sure hope he brought the Pepto.
Mike knows the Pepto-Bismol provides fast 5-symptom relief from unexpected stomach upsets. He's no rookie.
The way he's throwing back those nachos, he's the GOAT.
Be ready for game day with Pepto-Bismol.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Ready to re-examine your assumptions and expand your inventory of ideas? More of Tavis Smiley coming your way right now.
More of Don Lemon coming your way right now. At least for these last 3 minutes, I will yield the 3 minutes to Mr. Lemon to answer the following questions. So, Don, tell us what you're doing, where you're doing it, how you're doing it, what you expect to accomplish in the years ahead regarding your platform, and talk to me about the freedom that you feel being able to do your own thing.
Emancipated. I was already emancipated, but yes, I feel free. Under the LMN, which is the Lemon Media Network, our first project is the Don Lemon Show, and it is on all streaming platforms. You can get it on YouTube. I would encourage your listeners to go to YouTube, like and subscribe, and watch the full interview of Monique, watch the full interview of Elon Musk, and also Kara Swisher, who is great with navigating this sort of digital world and what's happening when it comes to all of the tech things out of Silicon Valley and beyond. But what I'm going to do is create my own platform. As you know, it's difficult work, but I'm here for it. I want to own my own content. I don't really want to work for anybody else anymore. I want to be able to do the types of interviews that really have gone by the wayside now, especially since you had your great show, which I appeared on PBS, which I thought was a fantastic show. I get to do long-form interviews like that and in-depth interviews, and I also get to do what I want. I also don't have to be worried about the hall monitors, about the censors, about people saying you can't say this, we can't do this, we have to, advertisers are afraid of this, and blah, 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 blah. So I want to be able to have a conversation, and pretty much like we're having now. The conversation that we had today, you don't really see much in mainstream media. As you know, Tavis, you're a special person, and you are a unique talent and a great interviewer. And so I would like to create that sort of content and actually really have, especially people who may be centrist or moderate or even left-leaning, come into the digital and streaming spaces, because that has been ceded now, just like X or Twitter, to folks who are on the right, people who are not African Americans for the most part. And so I think that we need to be in those spaces in order to make a difference.
As we say around here, Don Lemon, we're rooting for everybody black. We are rooting for everybody black, and that includes.
All right, Issa.
Yeah, exactly. that includes you. And we are humbled and honored to have had you on this program for the hour. I thank you for giving us the full hour. And I will tell you this: not that you need advice from me, but what I've discovered in this season of my life, and what you are discovering in this season of your life, both of us now in our 50s, is that we've been blessed with all the talent and all the requisite experience that we need to build these platforms. And so I wish for you only the best as you build your platform, but all the experiences, all that you have endured and gone through will has prepared you quite nicely for this moment. And I wish you nothing but the best, my friend. Thanks for the conversation. I'll talk to you soon, Don.
Thank you. That right back at you, Tavis. Thank you. Continued success and be well and happy.
Thank you, sir. Just like that, 3 hours gone. We thank all of our guests for coming on our program today. Great show today. Tomorrow promises to be just as good. Until tomorrow, thanks for tuning in to Tavis Smiley. And as always, keep the faith.